Bienvenue à le podcast de Philippe. Today we're taking a deep dive into something that's really got people talking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the role of women in AI, artificial intelligence.
Right.
It's, well, AI is everywhere these days, but is everyone really included in this future that we're building?
Hmm.
There's this, it seems like a big gap between men and women in AI, and that's what we're going to look at today.
Sounds interesting.
So we'll try to understand, why is this gap here? What does it mean?
Hmm.
And, what are people doing to close it?
Right.
Get ready for some pretty surprising stuff, I think.
Well, it is pretty interesting when you think about it. AI, it's all cutting edge, futuristic stuff.
Yeah.
But when you look closer at who's actually building it all, it feels kind of like we're stuck in the past.
Yeah.
Like the numbers are, they're pretty clear.
What do you mean?
Like, did you know that only 22% of the people working in AI are women?
Wow, that's pretty low.
And it gets even, more worrying when you look deep. Only 12% of all the AI researchers in the world are women.
Really?
And get this, just 6% of professional software developers are women. Can you believe that?
6%. Wow, that's a tiny number. It really shows how big this problem is.
Yeah.
It's definitely something we need to pay attention to.
For sure.
I think a lot of people would be surprised to hear that, the difference is so big.
Yeah.
It makes you think, why? Why is this gap here? Especially in a field like AI. It's so new and exciting.
That's the, that's the big question, and there's no simple answer.
I see.
But, one thing that definitely plays a role is how society sees women in these STEM fields, science, technology, engineering, math.
Right.
Think about it. Like, from when they're little, girls are often told to do things that are more, like caring for others or being creative.
Yeah.
The boys, they're pushed towards science and tech stuff.
Yeah.
And this, it shows up in education, too. We see way fewer women getting degrees in computer science, engineering, all that.
So it's not just a problem inside the AI industry. It's like a bigger problem in society that starts early on.
Exactly. It's and then there's this whole thing about access to mentorship and role models.
Right. Mentors.
Yeah. If you don't see anyone who, looks like you doing well in a field, it's harder to see yourself doing it, too.
You need someone to look up to.
Yeah. It's like trying to find your way through a maze without a map.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
Yeah. Without those mentors, those role models to show you the way. Well, it's no wonder lots of women get discouraged from even trying AI.
It makes sense, yeah. If you don't see anyone like you doing it, it's hard to imagine yourself doing it too.
Yeah.
But let's talk about what this gap actually means.
Okay.
It's not just about numbers on a spreadsheet. It has real effects, right?
Oh, absolutely. When the teams making these powerful AI systems, if they aren't diverse, there's a big risk of bias getting built right into those systems.
Bias.
Yeah. Like, imagine a hiring platform powered by AI that was mostly trained on data about men.
Okay.
Well, it might start to favor those characteristics without even meaning to.
Yeah.
And that would put women at a disadvantage when they apply for jobs.
Wow, that's scary to think about, especially now when AI is being used for so many things like healthcare, finance, even the justice system.
It's everywhere.
These systems are making decisions that really affect our lives. So if they're biased, that's a serious problem.
It is. It's not just about fairness either.
What do you mean?
Well, it's about how well the systems work, too. If you don't have different perspectives when you're building something, you might end up with something that doesn't work for everyone.
Right.
It's like designing a car, but only thinking about half the population. It's not going to work for everybody.
That's a great analogy. It shows that diversity isn't just, a nice idea. It's really important for making AI systems that are fair and actually work.
Yeah.
So are there any reasons to be optimistic? I mean, are there people out there trying to fix this problem? I'm sure our listeners would want to know about solutions.
There definitely are. It's a big challenge, but more and more people are realizing it's a problem and want to change things.
It's good.
Yeah, like organizations like the UNESCO Network of Women for Ethical AI, they're doing amazing work trying to make AI more inclusive.
Yeah.
And there are things like El Bougeon in France. They connect female students with mentors in those STEM fields.
Cool. So there are people working on this.
Yeah, these are just a couple of examples, but they show that things are starting to change.
It's good to hear that there's some momentum building.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about any specific programs you find interesting, ones that are really making a difference?
Yeah, a couple come to mind, like MIT's Breakthrough Tech program.
Right.
They focus specifically on women and other groups that aren't well represented, giving them the tools and support they need to work in tech.
Sound promising.
And there's the Women in AI program by Impact AI. They've got some really ambitious goals, like trying to get 30% of people in AI to be women by 2027.
Wow, 30%, that's a big jump.
It is. It's great to see these organizations actually taking steps to create a more balanced future for AI.
It looks like France is doing its part too.
Oh, yeah.
They're aiming for 40% of students in digital and AI fields to be women by 2024. That's a big goal.
It is, but it shows that people are starting to understand that diverse teams are just better at solving the tough problems that AI throws at us.
That makes sense.
They bring all these different experiences, ideas, and ways of looking at things, which not only helps make AI more ethical and inclusive, but also leads to more creativity and new ideas.
So it sounds like there's a lot of good work being done, but realistically, there's still a long way to go, right, Nate?
Yeah, I agree. We're on the right track, but changing a whole system takes time and, well, a lot of effort.
It's not going to happen overnight.
No, it's not just about getting more women into the field. It's about breaking down all those old stereotypes that have kept women out of STEM for so long. It's about making sure that girls have the same chances as boys and that they feel like they can do anything they set their minds to, especially in science and technology.
It's about changing the story and making sure that the people who build AI in the future represent the diversity of our world.
Yeah, it's
It's a huge task,
Yeah.
but one we have to face if we want AI to truly benefit everyone.
I agree. It's something we have to do together. Governments, schools, businesses, everyone needs to work together to make AI more fair and inclusive.
Yeah, it's not just about women. It's about making sure that everyone, no matter who they are or where they come from, has the chance to be part of AI and benefit from it.
Right.
It's about building a future where AI is a force for good, something that empowers all of humanity.
It's a great goal.
But we've talked a lot already. I know our listeners are ready to dive even deeper into this topic.
Yeah.
So before we continue, let's quickly go over the key points we've discussed so far.
Okay.
We've learned that the number of women in AI is really low. It's alarming.
Yes, we started by looking at those statistics, remember. Only 22% of the AI workforce worldwide is female, and even lower numbers in research and software development.
Right, right.
Those numbers really show us the gap we're facing.
And we talked about some of the reasons behind this gap, like how society sees women and STEM and the lack of mentors and role models.
Yeah, and how those factors kind of build on each other, starting from when girls are young and eventually leading to this underrepresentation in the AI workforce.
But it's not just about the numbers, right?
No, exactly.
This lack of diversity in AI has real consequences in the real world.
Yeah, it can make these powerful technologies biased, which can lead to unfair and discriminatory outcomes in things like hiring, healthcare, and even criminal justice.
We talked about the example of Amazon's recruiting tool, remember?
That was a good example.
It ended up discriminating against women because of the data it was trained on.
Right, even though they didn't mean for it to happen.
And we also touched on how a lack of diversity can actually make AI less effective and limit innovation.
Yeah, like trying to solve a puzzle with only half the pieces. It just doesn't work.
Exactly. And it really shows why it's so important to have lots of different voices and perspectives involved in developing these technologies.
Absolutely.
We need to make sure AI reflects the needs and experiences of everyone, not just a small group.
It's about creating AI that works for everyone, not just a select few.
Right. On that note, let's take a quick break and then come back to explore some of the amazing initiatives that are working to create a more inclusive future for AI.
Sounds good.
Stick around. We'll be right back after a short message from our sponsors.
Great. We're back and ready to dig into some of those solutions for this gender gap in AI.
Yeah, solutions. It's not just about getting more women into the field, though, right?
Right? It's about, well, making a space where they can really thrive and, reach their full potential.
An environment where they can grow.
Exactly. A
Yeah.
culture of inclusion and belonging where women feel supported, respected, and valued. And that means, tackling those deep-seated biases and barriers that have held women back in STEM.
Can you give us some examples of how those barriers are being addressed? Like, what are some things that organizations are actually doing to level the playing field?
Well, mentorship is huge.
There's mentorship.
Yeah, organizations like El Bougeon, they connect female students with people who are already working in STEM.
Yeah.
Give them guidance, support, a network.
So they have someone to guide them.
Yeah, to help them navigate all the challenges of entering these fields.
It's amazing how much of a difference a mentor can make.
Totally. Having someone who believes in you and, shares their wisdom and experience, that's invaluable.
But it's not just about individual support, right? It's about systemic change, too.
Oh, absolutely. We need to fix the systems that are causing these inequalities.
I see.
Like a lot of organizations are now doing unconscious bias training to help their employees recognize and challenge their own biases.
So they can see their own blind spots.
Exactly. It's a big step towards creating workplaces where everyone has a fair shot.
Yeah, because sometimes we don't even realize how our biases affect our decisions.
Exactly. It's
By
uncommon.
bringing them out in the open, we can start to, well, break them down and create a fairer environment for everyone.
Right.
But what about the women who are already working in AI? Are there programs to help them grow their careers and become leaders?
Oh, yeah. There are some great programs out there focused on that, like the Women in AI program by Impact AI.
Okay, women in AI.
Yeah, it offers training, networking, resources, all the things that can help women advance in their careers and become leaders in AI.
It's great to see these kinds of programs helping women reach their full potential in AI leadership.
It is.
But let's shift gears for a second and talk about a specific example of how bias can show up in AI systems.
Okay.
I think it would be helpful for our listeners to, well, see how this can actually play out in the real world.
Sure. One example that comes to mind is Amazon's AI recruiting tool. Yeah, it was actually found to be biased against women.
Oh, no.
Yeah, the algorithm was trained on data that was mostly about men.
Right.
And so it ended up penalizing resumes that used words like women's or mention women's colleges.
Wow, so even though no one was intentionally trying to discriminate, the system still ended up being biased.
Exactly. It just shows how important it is to have diverse teams building these systems, so they can spot those potential biases before they get baked into the technology.
Because different people see different things.
Right. It's crucial to have a mix of voices and experiences involved in every step of AI development.
From start to finish.
Yeah, from collecting the data and designing the algorithms to testing and deploying the systems.
And it's not just about gender diversity either.
Right. It's about making sure people from all backgrounds, races, and cultures are represented.
Because in the end, we want to create AI that reflects the real world with all its diversity and serves everyone fairly.
Exactly. We need to move past that narrow lens of the past and embrace a future where AI is a force for positive change, something that empowers all of humanity.
That's a beautiful vision, and I think it's something we can achieve if we all work together.
I think so too.
It takes effort from everyone, individuals, organizations, society as a whole,
We all have a part to play.
to challenge the status quo and create a truly inclusive AI landscape.
Absolutely. And it's not just about women. It's
Okay.
about everyone. A diverse and inclusive AI ecosystem benefits us all. It leads to better solutions, more innovation, a brighter future for everyone.
So it's a win-win situation.
It really is.
It's a call to action for all of us to, well, be agents of change, to use our voices and actions to create a future where AI is a tool for good, a tool that benefits everyone.
We can all make a difference.
But we've covered a lot in this conversation.
We have.
Before we wrap up, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned and consider some key takeaways for our listeners.
Good idea. Let's connect the dots for everyone.
We started by talking about those statistics that show a big gender gap in AI.
Right. Those numbers were pretty alarming.
They really are a wake-up call. They make us think about why this disparity exists and what it means.
They get the conversation started.
And we explored the reasons behind this gap, like those societal stereotypes that push girls away from STEM and the lack of mentors and role models.
Yeah, those factors create a kind of chain reaction starting early on and leading to this underrepresentation in the AI workforce.
It's not just about the numbers, is it?
No, it's about the real-world impact.
Right. This lack of diversity in AI has real consequences.
It can lead to biased algorithms and systems that perpetuate inequality and create unfair outcomes.
Like that example with Amazon's recruiting tool.
Exactly. It shows how bias can sneak into these systems even when no one means for it to happen.
And we talked about how a lack of diversity can actually make AI less effective and stifle innovation.
It's like trying to solve a complex problem with a limited set of tools.
We need all the tools we can get.
Right. We need all those diverse perspectives and experiences to create AI that truly works for everyone.
But it's not all bad news. We also talked about some incredible initiatives and organizations that are working hard to close this gender gap.
Yeah, there are a lot of people out there fighting for a more inclusive future for AI.
We talked about mentorship programs like El Bougeon and the importance of unconscious bias training.
Those are great examples of how we can start to change things.
And we highlighted some amazing programs that are supporting women in AI leadership, giving them the resources they need to succeed and become role models for others.
Those programs are so inspiring, they show us that change is possible.
So where do we go from here? What can our listeners do to be a part of this movement for a more inclusive AI?
It's about, well, taking those first steps, no matter how small they might seem.
Right. It's those everyday actions that can add up to real change.
Like, think about the language you use, the assumptions you make. Those little things can have a big impact.
Yeah, even just challenging a sexist joke or encouraging a young girl to try coding, those things matter.
Absolutely. It's about creating a culture where girls and women feel like they belong in STEM, where they're not just tolerated, but celebrated and encouraged.
Yeah, where they can be leaders and innovators.
Exactly. And if you have the opportunity to mentor someone, go for it.
Yeah, mentorship.
Sharing your experience, it can be so empowering for someone. It can open doors that they might not have even known existed.
And sometimes it doesn't have to be a formal mentorship. Just being there to offer guidance and support can make a huge difference.
Exactly. It's about showing up for each other.
And it's not just about women supporting women, right?
Right. Men have a big role to play here, too.
Allyship is so important.
Yeah, it's about men advocating for gender equality, calling out bias when they see it, and using their influence to amplify women's voices.
Because at the end of the day, a more inclusive AI benefits everyone, right?
Absolutely. It leads to better solutions, more creative ideas, a future that's better for all of us.
It's about creating a future where AI is a force for good, not just for some, but for everyone.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with a sense of possibility and a call to action.
Yeah, we've talked about the challenges, we've seen the solutions. Now it's time to put all that into practice.
Let's challenge those old stereotypes. Let's support the organizations fighting for change. Let's each do our part to make a difference.
The future of AI is in our hands, and we have the power to make it a good one.
Merci for joining us on this journey into the world of women in AI. I hope you found it eye-opening and inspiring.
Me too. It's been a great conversation.
Remember, change starts with each of us. If you want to keep learning about these important topics, make sure to subscribe to Le Podcast de Philippe on YouTube, Spotify, and Amazon. Until next time.
See you then.